Welcome to the APTA's fourth Grand Prix event of the season, the Boston Open, presented by Disciplined Alpha LLC, Weston Golf Club, Worcester Air, and Owl's Nest, and our national sponsors Viking and Uline, and our silver sponsors. We are live on the APTA network, presented by eNet Live. I'm Brad Easterbrook, alongside Mark Fischel, bringing you the men's final round action between the number 2 seeds of John Hughes and Mark Powers against their number 6 seeds of Stephen Mitchell and Johan Randt. So why don't we take a look at our players, Mark?
Well, we can't look at all our players, Brad, because we only have 3 of them.
So we'll take a look at 3 of our players then.
So on the bottom of the screen is Mark Powers. He's wearing the blue shirt, and he's warming up with Johan Randt, who's in the gray hoodie, and his partner Stephen Mitchell in the red hat. Johan is at the Country Club in Boston. Steve Mitchell's at Braeburn, and both Hughes and Powers are not directors in the industry. Let's talk about the players, Brad, and what we can expect today. Do you want to start with the Viking keys to winning?
Let's take a look at our Viking keys.
Okay, so for Hughes Powers, it's going to be Find Mitchell. We talked in the last match about Find Waldo. Randt is possibly the single biggest force in the game. And you're going to see them finding Mitchell, and which leads us to our second key, which is Hughes' overhead, which I thought was the big thing that kind of separated them from the pack 2 years ago when they won their first Nationals, when John really started generating a lot more spin on the overheads. And I'm interested to see if he starts hurting Mitchell with it if Randt switches.
Well, here's the thing. They are going to move around back there depending on who's taking the overheads. So right now you can see him on the court as they're warming up. Mitchell in the ad court and Randt in the deuce court. And if it works out that Hughes, he's not going to attack Randt in the deuce court. So it's only going to come into play if Mitchell switches sides.
But Mitchell has been switching sides virtually every point after he returned serve. And then our last key was play fast. I think that Hughes and Powers have become the best fast play team in the country.
Yeah, the more athletic the points get, the better it is for them.
Okay, and taking a look at Randt and Mitchell's, control the net. So why don't you elaborate on that, Brad? We talked a little bit about it off air.
You know, Hughes and Powers have great returns, and they're often able to take the net. They dusted their opponents in the semifinals 6-love, 6-1 by driving the ball through them, taking the net frequently. And it's hard to beat them consistently from the backcourt. They're just too good up there with with their volleys and their overheads. So they're going to have to be able to take control of the net and not spend and try to win 80% of the points from the backcourt.
And then the next 2 feed into the same thing, which is the recipe which a lot of the guys have come up with. John Hughes loves pace. And we saw Martin Bostrom and Blake Anderson give them fits last year here in the semis by just constantly dumping the ball to the Hughes forehand without any pace.
Push it to the Hughes forehand and make him drive you with that off-pace overhead to him. And when he misses a couple, it gets into his head.
And you can see it. You can see him starting to struggle with it.
You can see his confidence actually shake, and then you see Powers start to press with his forehand, and he's got one of the best forehands in the game. But then you'll see him miss a couple or take a ball he wouldn't have taken before because he feels like he needs to make up. And that's the recipe. If you can make that happen. If you can't, though, then maybe the third thing they got to do is to play slow and make sure the points don't get too athletic.
And that's interesting because for the first, 6 or 7 years of Randt's reign, he was unquestionably the best fast player in the country.
I mean, he almost invented fast play, if you want to say it.
He certainly took it to a new level.
Yeah.
And then Hughes Powers came along, and I think it was, testimony to Johan's intelligence on the court that he realized he couldn't play fast with them. He had to change it up. And when they played in the semis in Chicago, the year that Hughes Powers won, Randt played great, slowed the play down, and they ended up having a long 3-setter.
Yeah, he played. It didn't mean he put his offense in his pocket, but he looked for the right ball as opposed to forcing the action all the time.
Well, it's going to be fun to see how he handles it today.
And what I'm curious to see is if they don't switch back, will they allow for Powers to start attacking Mitchell with his overhead? Because pretty much Hughes and Powers in the last couple of years have been having Hughes hit more of the overheads and Powers closing off and stuffing volleys at the net.
Okay, we're going to go to our chair umpire for the introductions.
That's Bill Horn in the chair.
His wife, Barb, did the match last night.
Yeah, they did a great job. All right, so we'll see when he gets to the introductions. They're still warming up right now. So is there anything else you think in this match? So we did our quick tease there. And I think one of the things to look for, and we can talk about it a little more too, is Mitchell's played really well and volleyed great in spot position balls. He's got a big forehand. You're saying find Mitchell as one of the keys to winning, but he's also done a good job playing his role.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finals of the Boston Open. This match is best of 3 sets with tie breaks. To my right, warming up in the deuce court from Wayland, Mass., Johan Durant. And his partner in the ad court from Natick, Mass., Stephen Mitchell. To my left in the deuce court from Enfield, Connecticut, John Hughes. And his partner in the ad court from New York City, New York, Mark Powers.
Yeah, we talked a little bit in the last match about what a fine line it is for Steve Mitchell. He can't be passive, can't be too aggressive. He's got to find a really good balance for it.
I think at times we've seen a little both, but overall, he's played some great ball, like really tighten up his volley positioning, making great volleys. They have a little bit of a formula now that I see. You know, when they're playing at their best, they're letting Durant do the attacking overheads. They're switching at the net. They're putting Mitchell to Durant's right side. And then you're seeing him there step up and hit great volleys when they're attacking them. And he's looking for the off-pace drive where he cuts it off and tries to volley quickly behind the other player. And then the most part, you know, if you ask around here, people will say that Mitchell has a cut overhead. But we haven't seen it out there at all because his role is to keep the ball deep, keep the ball in the spot, and let Randt do the damage.
Well, as a public service announcement, I do not condone gambling, but there's been some that's been known to exist, and I know there was a pool on this week's event, and a lot of money was bet on Durant Mitchell.
A lot of money.
And I know that the person running the pool must be very nervous going into this final. If I were Durant Mitchell, I would not have let my water bottles get out of sight.
You're suggesting there could be foul play?
I'm simply suggesting that if I were Durant Mitchell, I wouldn't have let my water bottles get out of sight.
Fair enough, Mark.
You know, the other factor we haven't discussed yet, Brad, is I think that Durant Mitchell have the best sidearm serves in the game. You saw them, you know, really having an impact on Durant Parsons, really the only team in the country that's consistently able to serve and come in behind them.
And they did a great job doing that. Mitchell specifically at the end in those last 2 sets in their terrific semifinal win against Orion Parsons was able to come up with some great volleys.
And that's going to be one of their keys to winning, as we talked about earlier, is they've got to get a hold of the net. I don't think they can win this match from the backcourt.
Them and their ability to make first volleys will be crucial. Now you will see Powers and Hughes pretty much serve overhand the whole time. You just saw Mark Powers try a sidearm serve. He kind of has it, but hasn't pulled it out yet in any matches. But he may if he feels he needs it.
And John Hughes has one of the best serves in the country.
Well, certainly to the deuce court. You know, he cuts that hard in there. We'll see. That'll be one of the things to look for too. If if Durant, who has probably the best deuce court return or one of them in the game.
I would say not probably or one of them.
Fine.
A little decisiveness here, Brad.
Well, he has one of the best, deuce court returns in the game, and we'll see if he's going to take it off the deck and hit it early.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen Durant lobbing return serve on a consistent basis. He takes everybody's serve off the deck. And the other interesting thing is Hughes hits the serve to the ad court, which kicks really hard to the side wire. That'll test Mitchell's fitness in terms of that Achilles, because that'll require a really explosive move.
Now, you mentioned just a little off air that you think that Mitchell's Achilles in some ways might be helping him.
Yeah, I think it's making him a little more judicious in his decision making. It's some of the balls that he's got to be a little quicker to drive that are maybe 50-50 balls. He's lobbing now, and I thought he played at a really smart place in the semifinals.
I thought, in the first set, I thought he struggled a bit. And in the
Yes.
second set, he found his place. He made great volleys. He made great forehands when they were necessary. And he really stepped up his game to a completely different level. It's an interesting thing. It's not easy to play with Johan Durant.
Well, the other thing
legendary
is,
player.
Mitchell is obviously a huge talent, and most guys play with maybe a lesser partner and they grow into the game. Mitchell's played virtually every tournament he's played with Durant as the backup guy. So can you win a Nationals having never played with anybody else and always been the backup guy? I don't know
think
the
you
answer to that.
absolutely can. But why don't we start
Players
with
are
this
ready.
match here?
Mark
That was
Powers
very
to serve.
decisive, Brad. You absolutely can.
Just wait, Mark.
You surprised that Powers is serving first?
No.
Sun issue?
They elected to receive Mitchell
Love
and Durant,
15.
so they get to choose the side anyway. So they can make Powers serve first no matter what.
15 all.
Yeah, usually you see Hughes serving first. He's got the better of the two serves. And here's Powers going sidearm.
15-30.
Doesn't matter if you serve to Durant sidearm, overhand, you stand on top of the wires, he's ripping the forehand back at you. There they look for the switch. Looks like that sun is going to be in Hughes' eyes a little bit on this side. Interesting to see if he allows Powers to hit a few more of the overheads.
Great spot drive there.
And he loves that spot drive over there.
He can hit it anywhere.
Johan confirms that Mitchell is right. That must feel better about himself.
Positive reinforcement.
Very brave of Hughes to follow that in.
He got close enough where he was looking for the offensive volley. He did not see Powers come in there.
And I really like the early pace of the match for Durant Mitchell.
Oh, wow. And he's right 1 inch from the net. And he just can't pick it up.
30 all.
And I think the ball bounced underneath and got stuck in his shorts.
Wow, that ball just exploded. Interesting that Durant and Powers are both wearing the same shirt because they're such similar players in terms of that forehand trigger.
All right, this is an interesting look here. We're not seeing Hughes and Powers switch back. What a play. He apologized, but that's exactly what he meant to do. Hard
30,
right at the
40.
body.
Yep, caught him
Perfect.
short in the
Perfect.
court.
Hard overhead. Love that shot. I wonder if the sun will play an issue. You can see it as John Hughes goes up to hit that overhead right in his face.
And he hits a bad overhead. Durant takes
Game,
advantage
Durant
and they win
Mitchell.
the first game.
They lead the first set, 1 game to love.
Because it is interesting. You see that side sun coming in, and on that far side of the court, that'll make a difference because Hughes takes most of those overhead and wants to cut it with heavy action in there. But to take that kind of swing, if your vision is impaired at all, makes it a lot harder. Good start there for Durant and Mitchell. Terrific game. Oh, that's just perfect. See, now Hughes and Powers
15
used
love.
that type of off-pace drive against Rose and Rose in the last match. You got to be very careful against Randt or a player like Araya with that, 'cause
30
they'll cut
love.
winner.
Couple of strange forehands there. Mark Powers, a little slice forehand there.
Oh, missed it wide.
Great blitz.
30-15.
Perfect play. Just got to execute.
When Mitchell is volleying so well. You talked about his positional volleying yesterday, Brad. We've seen more of the same today.
I bet he's getting balls off his shoelaces, like down low underneath his knees, and just hitting terrific volleys.
40-15.
Some mistakes from Powers early.
And I really believe this sidearm serve that he is using is making a big difference in his ability to come in. You can't handle that, but nobody can handle that. But
Well,
40,
you could probably
30.
handle it.
well, I could do the exact same thing and hit it over the fence, but you know, he is just coming in so well behind it. Serve's not hard, and they can't hit down on the return as much. And there's the first one we've seen miss.
Deuce.
Heavy dipping ball from Powers. A lot of dip. You know, interestingly enough, I had a conversation off air with our tournament director, Drew Sawyer, who's up from this area here, and he knows Steve Mitchell very well. He said Mitchell also says that serving sidearm takes pressure off his back over the course of a tournament from hitting overhand serves, and physically helps him out through the course of a tournament. So it's not just a tactical thing.
This is the first year we've seen the sidearm serve really common in the guys' game.
Advantage Powers.
Used to be something you'd see once in a while in an anomaly. Now I would say, 15, 20% of the guys are doing it.
That's
that
great.
Trigger forehand from Powers. And I love that lob from Mitchell. That was a 50-50 ball that he could have driven. This is the pace they have to play at.
Well, these are the decisions you're talking about that he's doing so well. Great read there. Ooh.
Deep.
Another
Deuce.
missed lob from Powers takes us to deuce. And while it's early, those are the game points that determine winners and losers. There's one of those shoestring volleys you talked about, Brad.
Yeah, the play is good. It's just a few errors here and there.
And that's what Hughes wants. Hughes loves that ball off the back wire. Wow, that was out by a yard.
Advantage
It's a
Mitchell.
little stunning to see them miss 3 lobs in this opening game here. Oh, he is dialing in.
Deuce.
Yeah, he kind of hit a level in about the middle of the second set against Burish Ordoya yesterday, where he really found his game.
Yeah, and Hughes Powers played their semifinal at about 40 minutes and took a very good Chicago team apart today.
Yeah, Johan catches the seam there. Great
Advantage
overhead.
Mitchell.
Terrific, terrific roller. Durant's wrist and his racket speed is so fast. He can actually, he cuts across it so the ball moves inside as well as over the top. That's beautiful play.
Great transition
Game
by
for
Durant. They
Mitchell.
go up
They
2
lead the
love.
first set 2 games to love.
Problem with Powers in that case is he's half volleying that ball. He could have let it go to the screen, let some time elapse, and thrown up the lob to give them time to get back.
Hughes got hung out to dry.
Yeah, there's nothing he could do there. So
Get John Hughes to serve to Johan Durant.
That's what we were talking about, the huge
15
serve
love.
out wide against the Durant return.
Now Mitchell's going to need to come a little more to the center here.
Oh,
Read that one nicely. Down goes Hughes.
and
He's
wins
not
the
really
point.
trying if he's not down at least 3 times.
He does hit the ground probably more than any other paddle player.
30 love.
He and Mick or Doya, they're close. They like to be on the ground.
Pratt falls. In order to return the Hughes serve to that deuce side, you have to step way over towards the side screen, cut it off. Otherwise, you just have to let it go into the screen and lob it back.
So far, I love the pace of play from Durant Mitchell.
Well, they're doing everything we talked about, you know, in the opening set with our keys to winning. They're able to hold the net,
30,
and
15.
they're controlling the tempo of the play. Ooh,
Well, that was a ball you would have expected him to swing at.
in some ways, I like it.
Yeah.
Just being very careful and judicious, as you said earlier, about what he's looking to hit. I think it's important to every now and then for everyone actually to drive a ball that they don't think you're going to drive, and to, I think he missed it,
30 all.
and to be a little unpredictable.
Hughes kind of laid off the last serve to Durant. Let's see if he goes full throttle here. Yep.
Ooh, let cord.
Yeah, Mitchell's just not nearly as comfortable on the ad
40,
side as
30.
he is on the deuce side against the wires.
Well, as you said, their ability to find and hurt him in the screens will be an important thing going forward. Good cutter there from Powers, and another good serve from Hughes. And they're on the board.
Game, Hughes Powers. Durant Mitchell lead the first set 2-1.
I love how Hughes Powers are always together. Just you can always see how they're just united.
Uline. Ulining is the leading distributor of shipping, industrial, and packaging materials to businesses throughout North America. They ship over 2.5 million boxes every day, but they're so much more than a box company. More than 32,000 quality products are always in stock and ready to ship. Outstanding customer service means they're here when you need them, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Uline, the best selection, products, and people for an unforgettable customer experience.
Big shout out to all the paddle players in Ticonderoga who are watching under Patty Hoagland's tutelage.
They
The
look
call
like
there
they're
is Durant
having
Mitchell in 3.
ton of fun in Ticonderoga. I can imagine them having a great paddle party watching this final.
What great sequence of overheads from Durant. But this is what Hughes and Powers do better than anybody. They just put one more ball in play. They scramble. Durant hit 3 balls there that you might not have expected to come back. But here we are in the same point. Powers looks sharp off the ground early.
Yeah, they're just going to have to clean up some of the errors. And they're going to have to find a way to get some lobs up.
And again, Johan
Love
had 4 or 5
15.
great overheads at that point, but missed the last one.
One more ball, and he will miss. You know, you can't keep hitting that much of a tough shot, you know,
Love
with such
30.
a small contact window and not miss a few.
Powers is thumping the ball, Brad.
He's crushing forehands. He missed a couple early ones, but I love how he's striking it. And we talked about this before. We want to see a little more of that. Drive that ball right at the net guy on a weak serve.
And there's Hughes using his
Love
speed
40.
and athleticism. Great blitz there. Soft forehand. Caught Mitchell off the net. Powers wanted to drive that one.
Nah, got him there. Powers is very confident in his ability to one-time a ball, but probably a little
15-40.
over-aggressive on that one.
Yeah, that lob wasn't deep enough for him to cheat in.
Is there anyone better at moving to the sidewire and hitting a forehand than Johan Randt?
Well, Mark Powers is probably the only one in that league. Misses that one. This would be a
30-40.
big hold for Durant.
Great, great leave. Not easy to let that ball go. Great
Deuce.
rolling serve, moves away from Powers, gets him to stretch.
3 missed balls in a row from Powers, takes us to deuce.
That's a great position volley again. Nice little sneaky move. You'll see that from John Hughes. Uses speed to blitz.
I was going to call it a stealth blitz. Kind of quietly crept in. Don't mind me, I'm not really here.
He's just doing such a good job holding his balls to Mark to the
Advantage
last
Durant.
second, changing the paces, changing the spins.
We're going to have to lob a little bit better.
There we go. That's what you're talking about.
When you're pushing Durant out of the service box, you could have some success. If you let him stand in the service box, he's just going to dice you up. Point here for 3-1.
Now you talk about Hughes and Powers wanting to play fast, and I agree they're the best, but they're not. They're perfectly fine grinding out a point too. They'll play any style or be able to adapt.
Well, Hughes made a lot of errors that game from
Game,
love 40.
Durant Mitchell. They lead the
Well, no,
first set
Powers
3 games
actually
to
made a
1.
couple.
I'm sorry, Powers, yeah.
Yep. But that was a tough overhead. He gave him the heavy cut, made him think about whether he needed to get it before. He thought it was going to hit the side wire and die. And stabs at it, but that's a great hold to go up 3-1. Powers and Hughes, you just got to say, hey, we played the right game, just made a few bad errors there at the end. Let's just clean it up.
15 love.
So when Johan misses a forehand, you're surprised.
Oh, that's a heck of a return. Powers hits
15
that
all.
really good heavy ball into that ad court. That was
Right
incredible
in the
timing.
pocket. Good a serve as you can hit.
Incredible timing from Mitchell. Catches the leg cord. He actually apologized. He realizes that might have been
30,
a 2 out of 10 shot, but heck of a shot.
2 missed forehands in a row from Durant.
40-15.
I know the Australian term is a walkabout. What's the South African term when you kind of leave the building for a couple minutes?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because
My-
Durant just left the building. 3 missed
Game,
forehands
Hughes,
and a
Powers.
kind of a
Durant
strange
Mitchell lead
blitz.
The first set 3 games to 2.
Yeah, my Afrikaans is not.
Not
I'll
what
be
it used to
honest,
be.
It's not up to par.
You spent 5 years living there, didn't you?
I was living with the Pride of Lions at one time and doing some graduate work. And yeah, I became quite fluent at the time.
It's interesting that games like that can change the momentum. I mean, Durant Mitchell play a really good first 4 games. They have a great hold of Durant serve from Love 40. And then they just kind of throw away a game. Durant did in that case.
Yep, and we've seen that before. I like the fact that Hughes and Powers are hitting challenging serves to Durant. I mean, basically in the Araya and Parsons match, they just served and stayed back 90% of the time whenever it was Araya or whenever Johan was returning, and probably wisely so.
You know, Raya made an interesting point I know that's surprising, but he made an interesting point about the ball change. And on the ATP Tour, they always change on the odd game, so each side has an ability to serve with new balls. And here, what they did is they're serving after changing balls after 6 games.
Correct. They're counting the warm-up as one game,
which he argued was unfair because then the same side get to serve with new balls twice in a row.
You know, it's actually an interesting point.
I think it's a legitimate one. And I wouldn't let the fact that it's Arias dissuade you from agreeing with it. See Powers really moving that forehand around.
Good move.
Played a perfect point and just missed it.
Well, a lot of people just try to hit. He's trying to hit Mitchell with that ball. He's going hard at his body, feeling that's the way to end it. Because if he doesn't hit him, Mitchell just get it off the screen, point goes on. So whenever you go for a winner in paddle, you know, the odds increase that you're going to miss the ball.
Yep. Great lob there from Hughes. And one of the things that makes Hughes so good is his ability to drive and lob with the same grip.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, it allows him to be a little deceptive. With the same exact grip and the same setup, he can push the ball up or sometimes kind of sharply hit it at you, and he's got enough speed to follow it in with a blitz. There's a number of top players who can do something like that aversion. He's one of the best of them. Max Leipavere uses it all the time. Juan Araya with his backhand.
Oh, Hughes reads that one beautifully.
Speed, and that's the poor choice there from Mitchell that we want to make sure he doesn't do too much of.
15-30.
That ball went through Durant. I don't know how it missed him.
Well, he was on that before
15-40.
Durant even hit it. He started moving forward. He was all over it.
This is an important game for Hughes Powers.
I just kind of want to right the ship. There's nothing wrong here. They just got to clean up a couple of errors.
You just don't want to let these 40-15 and 40 love games get away from you. Good swing there from Hughes. Catches the tape.
All right, another break point.
I formation.
And I agree with you. It feeds on you in a real negative way when you're like, I was up 40 love. I was up 40-15. I couldn't close out the games. But the one thing I'll say about Powers and Hughes is they don't ever go away. Nothing stops them from coming back.
Oh, boy, that ball got a very little to the line. And Mitchell's doing such a good job of putting himself in the right position to make that volley. We saw him make a volley in the semis with both feet in the green.
Oh, Powers is crushing, but terrific volley.
Another great volley from Durant, called out, confirmed by the chair. And that's the trademark play for John Hughes. He loves climbing up that wire, taking the ball early. And here it is there. See Durant swing at that ball, and it was past him before he even made a move. Okay, 3-all.
Great break there from Hughes and Powers, and a couple of great shots from Hughes.
And there's that big cut overhead of Hughes. Great play, great transition by both teams.
Yeah, you have one player go in, the other player acts as a trailer so that if you can't cut off the volley, you're still able to keep the ball in play.
That ball was wide. Yeah, I want you to elaborate on that, Brad, because oftentimes you see in league play, the ball goes through and you see the two players who hit the ball through charging to the net.
Yeah, usually it's best to just have one player try to move forward and attack. See, at this level, that's a terrific ball moving away from Durant, and he can't catch up to it. At this level, everybody can drive the ball so well from the backcourt that when you drive it through them, an offensive shot could easily come back. So the one guy can go in and look to try to get a position where he can hit an offensive volley, but if it goes around him, the other guy needs to go back. If you both go in, though, then there's no recourse sometimes to make a tough volley.
Love how when John Hughes lets the lob drop, he always looks back to see where they are. Of course, with Johan Durant, there are not a lot of questions as to where he's going to be. He's going to be right in your grill.
Is everywhere. He's everywhere.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, we've been saying it throughout the weekend, and it's great to have Randt and Mitchell on the live stream. So terrific. But you hit the ball where Johan is, because oftentimes he moves at the last second.
And if you want to learn to play like Johan, sarackets.com. He and Steve Mitchell have camps. Go check it out.
You're saying if I can go to that camp, I can play like Johan?
Exactly like Johan.
That's pretty cool.
Great
play
from Powers.
He's got that shot.
Boy, all of a sudden the momentum has turned. That one really bad game Durant Mitchell played, I don't know whether it impacted things, but it really feels like things changed right at that moment. As Mitchell takes one off the back wires.
Powers. They lead the first set 4-3.
Well, it was a good start for Durant and Mitchell. They had the right type of pace. They were playing the right type of points. Hughes and Powers missed a few balls. Now the errors are cleaned up. And they've also hit a few shots. The way to play John Hughes is not to bang the ball down. We've seen him hit 2 or 3 high forehand hard smashes now in the last couple of games. The way to play Hughes is to push the ball soft and deep, right? So if Durant and Mitchell don't change that or recognize that, they're giving these terrific opportunities to Hughes and Powers, they're going to have a rough day.
Yeah, they've gotten away from what they want to do, what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, if John Hughes is hitting a ball at you moving forward, a high forehand down, that's just exactly what you don't want.
Rare miss there from Powers.
All.
It's always been interesting to me, Brad, that the momentum shifts based on
30-15.
Not necessarily whether you're doing things well or not, but if you're doing them right or not. So if you stick with your strategy and you lose some points, then that's okay. When you get away from it, you start making some sloppy mistakes. That's when the momentum tends to shift.
Now, do you think for Powers and Hughes, they have the right feel on what they're doing?
All.
Yeah.
The only issue has been some execution?
Some execution. I think they've played really smart shots. And I think you've seen Durant and Mitchell get away from what they want to do.
30-40.
But those are just 2 bad misses.
Yeah, those are 2 bad misses. But you just can't have John Hughes crawling up the side wire against you. Because if he's hitting that shot on a regular basis, you're losing.
Yes.
Point for 5-3. I think you can expect to see everybody playing this point really smartly. Great play by Durant.
Well, that's a terrific play.
And the fact that he missed the last couple balls didn't faze him at all. Went with the big cut and opened up the court.
Champions take their swings, and that ball was so good. Both players had to run up to it. They weren't sure who was going to get it, so nobody back there to get any ball behind them.
But they're hitting a lot of soft balls at Mitchell. What do you think that is, Brad?
Yeah, they're just trying to probe a little, see if they can get a short volley to attack better, but they haven't had any success with the probing drives yet.
Oh, what
so
a get.
Fast. And there's their attempt to put one more ball in play, but they just can't do it. So well done.
Advantage Durant.
Couple of great shots there from Durant. Takes him from add out to add in.
I don't know if you saw from Hughes, too. I love that volley. And I love that return, too.
Great positional volleying by Mitchell. See him sliding over, making sure he doesn't have a forehand volley. Because you simply don't have the time to flip the paddle on a ball hit that hard. Well, unless you're Johan Durant.
That's the one right there. That's soft ball. Hughes
Game,
does
Randt
not
Mitchell.
hit with a lot of spin. So he has a difficult
is
time when the
4-all
ball's soft
first
and
set.
not that high, keeping it in. And that's the shot you want him to try to beat you with.
Yep, yes, Mitchell, how did that not hit you? Mitchell says, I have no idea.
I think it's the camo wear. See that stuff he's got on? It's very, very hard to see him.
Hard to find. Hughes misses that one, but
15.
again, got to be careful with that overhead.
Yeah, it's giving him the spike. High forehand balls is not what you're looking to give Hughes.
And so far, the Hughes overhead has not been a factor in the match.
Oh, that is such a terrific block lob. Freezes Hughes at the net. Hughes thinks he's hitting a chip, and he just pushes it up. Oh, that's so big.
There, Mitchell wasn't positioned as well as he's been in the past. Powers found the opening.
Oh,
Some dig.
no.
Missed it.
Forced it more than that. Forced
One more
it.
ball from Mitchell.
Great play.
Love 30.
Mitchell made some incredible digs at the end of that semifinal match, too.
Yep.
Couple right inches off the ground.
Powers misplayed that ball. You kind of saw him
Love
hesitate,
40.
thought about playing it off to one wire, then two. So about 3 minutes ago, they had a point for 5-3. Now Randt and Mitchell have 3 points to serve for the first set.
That's gonna time for a little turnaround because this is a situation.
Oh.
That's such a mover right
See
there.
that ball just dive to the
15-40.
right or our left.
Hughes and Powers could use a good comeback here. They've led away plenty of leads in this set. Oh, what a volley move.
Great
30,
cover there
40.
from Hughes.
Yeah, but he did such a great job getting right on top of the net so the ball could not get lower than net. It's an offensive volley.
It's the first backhand we've seen from Mitchell today, and it was an effective one.
It's so low, very hard for Hughes. That was a terrific
Great roller.
roller. How about that?
They'll serve
Game,
for the
Durant
set.
Mitchell.
But
They
if you're
lead the
Hughes
first
and
set
Powers,
5-4.
what you think about is, we've been playing this. We had 40-15. We had a 40 love, Let's just keep playing. You got to plug those holes here and there.
But those really hurt. Let them get away from you.
Absolutely. That roller was awesome from Mitchell.
And you
Love
see
seeing that.
Durant Mitchell at the net, healthy percentage of the time, maybe 65, 70% of the first set.
They're playing well, they're getting in. I think this sidearm serve has worked great for him. I actually think it's the better serve to hit Hughes. The harder you hit it, the more you hit it down, the better he returns. That's a great lob.
Snowboard dig. Nope, missed it long. Came out a little further than Hughes thought.
Love.
Yeah, but what a great offensive volley from Mitchell there.
Mitchell's volleying has been amazing.
I thought he almost had it there at the end, but what a great overhead. That overhead
15 all.
will factor in if they can take the net more, but right now Mitchell and Durant's been doing a great job serving and volleying.
Now you see Randt talking to Mitchell about how that ball is going to react, that it's going to hit hard in the back wire, excuse me, and shoot all the way over to the side wire.
And even when you know that, it's not easy.
Hughes goes for the
30,
offensive
15.
shot there. Tough ball. Durant's overhead has really been the shot that's dominated this first set.
No. Too fast,
just-
not the
yep.
right play.
That
Even
take-
if it's over, I
40,
think Durant gets a
15.
drop volley
Yep.
there.
That takes us to double set point.
Looks like they're pressing a little right here. I'd like to see him just keep playing the right points.
A great volley from Mitchell.
He's volleying terrifically. Wow. Perfect position, perfect technique.
Right now, Durant and Mitchell have all the answers.
Well, they can't get him off the net, enough where they're driving it at them when the guy's
40,
off the
30.
net. And they're just too good up there right now. Unless you're going to drive it at them when they're off the net, you got to be careful.
Well, you got to lob better.
Right, and that's the other problem, because if you don't lob well, then you got Durant just carving it up, and it's hard to control the ball.
Oh, huge forehand from Mitchell. Hughes was like, look what I found.
Oh. And that extra spin from Hughes
Dude.
cutting away from Mitchell, and he can't catch up to it.
Hughes is now bleeding, which is a prerequisite for any Hughes match. He's
That
not
was
bleeding, he's not
terrific,
trying.
though. Great points on set points there.
Oh, he was reading that one just a step late, and Durant misses it. Wow, the match may have just
Advantage
shifted in his
power.
last 3 points, Brad.
Well, I mean, got to earn it here. He's crushed the last few returns down the line. See if he does it again.
And he faults. First one of the set.
Game, Hughes
Back to
Power
5 all.
scores
That's what we
5
talked
all
about
first
earlier,
set.
Brad. Hughes Powers are going nowhere. They never leave the building, as we've talked about with a bunch of other teams. They're rock solid. And it'd be interesting to see if you see Hughes hitting a few more overheads, because that's clearly bothering Mitchell. That matchup.
Well, I think there are
15
two
love.
huge things here. I think the Hughes serve has also been great, meaning they're struggling to return it as well, too. A little more difficult holding the power serve right now. But
Hughes has made
30
Jeff
love.
Morneau look bad over there. And if you can make Jeff Morneau look bad, you can make anyone look bad. That was not a good look for Steve Mitchell.
no. It looked like he had a read on it, and the ball just kind of jumped away from him a little.
Again, short lobs.
That's a
great
great
play.
move. It's the quick lob up. Randt doesn't see him, and he sneaks in. That's wide.
Wow,
The
he is
spin,
tearing
carving him up now.
Yeah, tearing him up the last few minutes, Brad.
Now here's where you say if Mitchell truly is having some issues with his ankles, because there's two problems with it. You can take it off the deck like that. That was not a smart shot.
Team Hughes Powers, they lead the first
But
set
there's so much
6
spin on the
games
ball
to 5.
that it bounces off your paddle a little bit. The actual spin affects where the ball's going to go. You have to aim it in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I know when I played against a Randt or an Orier and I'm in the deuce court and then that hard overhead at me, I kind of aim down the line to get the ball to go cross court.
Right. And then the problem is if he doesn't take it off the deck, it's cutting away from it hard and fast.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to make that move, that quick move.
For me, it was Long Island a couple years ago at the Dwayne Hayden Invitational when they shifted from Powers hitting the overheads to Hughes hitting the overheads. Powers stuffing people, you mentioned it earlier. And Hughes' overhead has caused a lot of people a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
it's become one of the
hits-
best in the game, and it's the reason they jumped from a good team to a national champion.
Oh, for sure. And he hits that overhead that we see with the hard spin into the back second panel, and it spins from there straight over to the side like we saw before.
Then it'll also hit it right at you and force you to
little
make a
long.
decision. Boy, this match has just
15.
shifted so fast, Brad.
You know, seesaw.
There's that high to low ball that Hughes loves.
You know, one of the great things to do when I watch a paddle match is watch not the guy hitting the ball at the net, but watch the backcourt team move around when the guy's hitting the overhead. See how they position those. See if they throw in a feint or a forward move.
Especially fun watching Randt, who moves as much as anybody. As we talked about in the semis, he's moving both vertically and horizontally.
At the same time.
So he kind of materializes. That ability to transport places is very effective.
That's
Nope,
wide.
missed it wide. That's a really tough angle, Brad. There really
Love
wasn't
30.
much court there.
Was a tough angle.
And out of nowhere, Hughes Powers now 2 points from the set.
Danger.
Oh, that's his shot.
15-30.
That was a big one to miss. It's his bread and butter. Would have taken him to triple set point, and another fault from Randt takes him to double
15-40.
set point regardless.
Now these are the games that Hughes and Powers have let slip a little earlier in the match.
See if they can close this set out.
Ah,
And that was a bad decision by Randt, and he sets up
Team
Powers.
Hughes
Game
Powers,
in
they win
first
the
set.
first set,
Hughes Powers
7-5.
6-4.
all right.
Okay, we'll be back after these messages right here on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live.
The world of Rolex is filled with stories of perpetual excellence. Since 1990, the Solheim Cup has elevated women's golf. Team USA challenges Team Europe, upholding the traditions of sportsmanship and teamwork. As the women's game grows, the Solheim Cup will continue to shape its future. This is a story of perpetual excellence, the story of Rolex.
You can't put wings on a car. You can't see an accident coming. Or walk away from one like this. You can't make a car talk.
How can I help you?
You can't fight gravity. And you can't make one of the world's best SUVs even better. Go on, tell us what else we can't do. The all-new GLS.
Are you ready to go?
Possibly the safest, most spacious, most Mercedes SUV ever made. Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
Welcome back to the Boston Open on the APT Network, presented by eNet Live. We're starting the second set of our men's final, with Hughes and Powers winning the first set 7-5. It's a little bit of a back and forth affair.
Well, I thought Steve Mitchell played a great set, and then, as you commented off air, kind of went away in that 5-all game. Got eaten up by a couple of tough cutters by John Hughes. Wouldn't be the first one, and then missed a forehand really badly. But Hughes and Powers are kind of stuck to the game plan. A few times they haven't executed, but I feel like it's been what they want to make happen.
Well, the one thing that's interesting, we talk about having a certain kind of strategy where you want to make Hughes beat you with a forehand, right? And we haven't really seen that.
Nope.
Like them trying to execute a strategy that is specific to that. Make him beat you with that slow forehand. But some of the things that Hughes has worked on has also made a big difference. Meaning his ability to sort of take the ball early, quickly move it up, change the paces around. He tries to put pressure on you different ways when you do that.
He's so good at putting one more ball in play, too.
One of the best. Great call there.
But listen, Durant and Mitchell were at double set point, just didn't close the set out.
Right.
But you better hit that ball hard if you see Hughes going there. Yeah, I think discretion would have been a better part of valor there, Brad, and bailed.
He was taken off.
First point. That was some opening point of the set.
Yeah, terrific point. But I liked what I saw from both teams. You know, in a strange way, it was just a couple of moments from Durant and Mitchell. They had a throwaway game early, and then a bad game at the end.
Yep.
And
well,
then
obviously 1 point determined the set.
yeah. And you could actually say the same for Hughes and Powers, really. You know, they had 40 love, 40-15. They let games get away. And by let them get away, I don't mean, they didn't.
40
Hughes,
love.
Durant and Mitchell didn't have to put them away or play an incredible point. They just missed a couple of balls. Nice spot drive.
40-15.
Mitchell hits a very flat forehand also.
Really felt like that first set should have belonged to Durant Mitchell. You know, won a 40 love game, won a 40-15 game.
I'm not sure I agree with you. I mean, it's because it could have gone. There's so many ways it could have gone a little
40,
differently.
30.
It was just all in the balance, and
Yep.
whoever sort of executed or just made less errors at the end.
Sloppy miss there from Powers. The other thing that Hughes and Powers do so well is they serve so well. They challenge you with their serves. They're hitting big serves, not giving up the net.
I think that is definitely a point in the match. We were talking about that earlier, how Hughes will challenge Durant to hit that return. He'll come in behind it, and when he hits it, he'll actually let it go. But he's put enough pressure on him where he's getting a higher percentage of misses than many other teams do.
Well, look at Uriah Parsons. How many returns did Durant Mitchell miss against Uriah Parsons?
Yeah, and they actually weren't challenging him, though.
Although they started challenging him. Parsons kind of lost confidence in it. You know, Parsons was hitting that great roller. This from Hughes there, that's his game. Was hitting the roller early and they kind of went away from it because Durant returned so well. That's the interesting thing about the roller is the belief guys have in it when it faults a couple times or it misses. Because obviously it's relatively new for everybody.
30 love.
Powers looks up, playing the wind.
There have been a few lob errors, though. A couple of them a bit surprising, but love that low cutter. Like you said, Hughes is so good. He contorts his body, he gets down, he'll lay out for it. Puts his paddle down low, gets underneath the ball, digs out one more. Now, in some other matches, we saw Randt really be able to hurt his opponents with the overheads. Hughes and Powers doing a great job mitigating that.
Little cat and mouse.
Yeah.
And there you see Mitchell taking that step over again, positioning himself for only a backhand volley.
40 love.
Like that nice, steady, controlled, slow point at the net, looking for the right ball. Got him.
There, Powers hits him.
40-15.
Was the exact same play
That
he
he
did
missed
before
earlier.
that he missed earlier. He's got it. Oh, goodness.
Okay, that's twice John's been down. They're calling. I
what
guess
they
he's got a lot
say.
of blood coming up somewhere.
No, I don't know.
Game.
Maybe.
Game to Randt Mitchell.
It's
Scores
almost
1-all
like,
second set.
you know, they say
Hughes
it's not a
Powers
match
won the
until
first set,
John Hughes
7-5.
bleeds, or how is it? Does he actually have his own cut man, or maybe he needs his own cut man?
I think he should have his own cut man.
Or maybe the APTA and these Grand Prix events should be providing a cut man.
That's a legitimate issue.
Where's CEO?
Well,
Mikadori?
Mindy Pike did 3 years of med school,
Did
so I
she?
think she would be the right person to be out there taking care of him.
I think Nindy Pike is. I tell you what, if there's a nomination that is needed for this, I nominate Nindy Pike as, what do we call her? First aid?
Yeah, she majored in cuts and abrasions.
Cuts and
med school.
abrasions is actually it's a very tough major to get through. So
Very tough
congratulations
major.
to Nindy Pike. But he's going to take, I think it's similar rules, 10-minute injury timeout,
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to
medical
take the
timeout.
full injury time, but we'll see. I see Drew
But-
Sawyer out there. I see Jackie Cameron out there.
But if we're talking about an actual thing that's inside the rules,
Yes.
that's what it is. You know, if you have an injury, you have a 10-minute injury timeout, things like that. And he took a good spill there, and it's hard to imagine, actually, you know, how his feet went out from under him there. He actually got his racket under the ball.
Yeah.
Almost made the shot.
With John, it's a surprise when he doesn't make the shot. You're so used to Hughes making those amazing pickups.
You see him on the side there. I think he's getting bandaged up.
So little separating these two teams right now.
Have you actually fallen on a paddle court before, Mark?
I have. It is not a fun experience, Brad.
No, it's not.
It's
In
not
the
something I would recommend.
early days of my paddle playing career, when I was significantly younger, there were plenty of balls that you're digging out, and I used to scrape my knees, and I would have all these scabs on my knees from digging out some balls, but no actual falls.
I've taken a couple of less than graceful tumbles, shall we say?
I can imagine that.
Yeah, that's disappointing to hear.
Yeah.
I remember one night in a Long Island league, I ran for a drop shot and took a tumble, and just your hands are just cut, and your heart is obviously beating relatively fast, so you can't get the bleeding to stop.
I can imagine since that time you've learned to not run for the drop shots.
Certainly not the tumble for them. Some people didn't say I was running. The word lumbering was described by my
Lumbering.
partner.
At best. Here he comes.
Matt Garavaglia yells to me, says, "Lumber after it."
All right, well, let's hope he's okay. I mean, he certainly got up.
It's not
And
the first time he has to be bandaged during a match. It's interesting that you saw Mitchell waving people out quickly, so he obviously saw some.
He right away, actually, he was like, yeah, somebody come out here.
Yeah. Shannon Vincent was saying that it's a good thing that Hughes went from the white paddle, because it used to be you'd have that paddle and you'd see the blood all over it.
I kind of like the battle scars. I'm down with that because that's sort of like, you know, people put things like a skull on their paddle or they wear things with a skull on them, but
Their
he's
own blood.
actually got the blood. You know, this is my blood.
It's very manly.
Yeah, it's a different kind of thing. In fact, maybe that's it. You know, like the volleyball in Castaway, maybe that's what the signature should be for Hughes, like a bloody hand on the paddle. That's his like whatever that would be, insignia.
We should take this opportunity to remind everybody we're going to be in Philadelphia in a few weeks for the fifth and final stop of the APT Grand Prix Tour. Nationals coming up in Darien, both the PTI and the Open Nationals in early March. And then 3 weeks later, in late March, DJ Getz and Flor Hanisch hosting mixed nationals of the Westchester Country Club and the Rye Clubs. And then the week after that, the APTA League Championships. So lots of great events coming up, and all the all the PTI nationals around the country, Atlanta, Denver, Boston. Encourage everybody to find a tournament, sign up, get out there and play.
You know, we were talking earlier too, Mark, you know, just about how it has this feeling now that it's the run to nationals. Like right now, this is when it starts.
Well, it's been such an interesting year, Brad. We've seen very little of Hughes Powers, very little of Elia Parsons, very little of Broderick, and none of Palmer.
Right.
So those are the three best teams in the country last year. We haven't seen them.
And then as such, we've seen the rise, I mean, continued rise of Javinci McNerney, right? You know, continued rise of Compton Kaler. And new team, Burish and Udoya, playing so well in their quarterfinal loss the other day.
Yesterday, last night.
Okay. Isn't that the other day?
No, the other day is the day before that.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay. How about now? Are we in this week? Or are we in next week?
Last week. We were discussing last night how many cups in a bowl.
Oh, yeah. If you have 2 cups of soup, is that a bowl?
That's what you said at lunch. Okay, looks like Hughes is good to go.
He's going to take one. Asked to take a
1-all,
practice serve.
second set.
What's the 14 games? So this is the second game with the new ball.
All right, 1-all. That's a mistake.
Yep.
I'll be honest, that is the play that I have
15
not
love.
seen from him, and I'm glad I haven't seen from him. I think when he brings out that dink and blitz play, it tends to work against him more than for him.
Well, especially against Hughes Powers, who like to play so close to the net.
Yep, they're so quick, they get right up on top and they just stuff it.
See if Hughes goes for the cut overhead here. So far the lobs have been too good. Hit the big cutter.
And to me, Randt is so good. That dink and blitz can work, but Randt is so good at so many things.
Good swing there by Mitchell. Great lob. Boy.
Yeah, so quick. Quick up lob. We talk about combinations at this level. It's not about one shot always. You know, you draw a guy in with a quick drive, then you step forward to take the lob early.
What just when Durant looks like he's beat, he just sticks out that paddle and great pickup.
Great lob. Look for that drive. That is good playing.
And well
30
spotted
love.
that backhand.
was
Right off the
terrific,
hip.
though. But it started with the really good lob down
By
the
Hugh- by
line, forced the
Powers.
weak cross court, then the drive from Hughes. You can see it was 4 balls later, but that's how it went down.
Well, it was exactly what you were
love.
talking about, Brad. It was the sequence of shots that set it up. There was no one shot that was too big for him. It was the sequence that created the movement.
That's a great lob, too.
Great response.
Nah.
Where Powers was all over that ball,
40,
tried to hit an
15.
offensive volley and missed it.
Yeah, but it's not the greatest time for an offensive volley straight there. You know, that one's
Agreed.
just when you want to put in play. Another great lob. That's out.
You're getting to see
Game,
Hughes
Hughes
and Powers'
Powers. They lead the
athleticism
second
really
set,
coming
2
into
games
play
to
there.
1. Hughes Powers won the first set 7-5.
Viking. Viking Athletics is the premier brand and the undisputed leader in platform tennis. Viking is platform tennis. The Viking Extra Duty platform ball has been the #1 selling ball in the industry for the last 20 years. It is the official ball of the APTA, of the APTA Nationals, and President's Cup, and of the Grand Prix Tour.
Okay, Durant to serve. 1-2. We haven't seen a lot of their hitting the ball behind Durant, like we saw from Mariah Parsons.
That's a great spot. Gets
15.
Mitchell to reach. Mitchell has missed very few volleys where he's ball's coming at him, but that one he had to reach for. A little trickier. We also haven't seen a lot of Durant swarming around the net, though. So Hughes and Powers are doing a good job keeping the lob up and then doing a quick strike with a spotted drive. And like Durant, Powers has that quick release where he can hold it, hit it inside out, or quickly zip it over down the line. You have no idea where he's going to hit it until the moment of impact. Very hard. It makes it very uncomfortable trying to volley.
And there you see him driving Durant deep into the other box with the lob.
And he'll change paces and
15
speed
all.
to flatten it out a little.
Don't know what that last backhand was. Maybe a miss hit.
It was a quick lob up that he just didn't execute. He, tried to be almost over-aggressive with that lob. He felt like he was controlling the engagement and overplayed his hand.
And here you see Durant all over the net. Little battle over who's going to hit that forehand.
Yeah, they're both so quick. That's a terrific shot.
Again, great sequence. Driving Durant way far to his right, opening up the court.
Oh! Quick trigger, missed it.
30-15.
Like the move from Hughes.
But I still haven't found that they're trying to, like, in that last shot, that's a terrific
30
drive
all.
there from Hughes. I love that. A little topspin. He took the softball and he drilled him. Good play.
30-40.
Soft return there at Durant's feet and takes us to break point.
Get the feeling it's slipping a little?
Yep.
Like, it's still good points. We're still playing, but Hughes and the Powers have the sort of the better of it.
Yep. That's what I was saying about the first set. I really felt like Durant Mitchell had the better of it. Oh, that's a big miss.
Deuce.
That Durant Mitchell had the better of it, but were unable to close. And now I feel like Hughes Powers have the better of it. But this would be a big game for Durant to hold. Bunch of
Advantage
Mitches from
Durant.
Powers this game.
Well, we did see a little bit of that. See, I don't
Yeah.
think this is bad points, but all of a sudden they play great points, and then boom, boom, they get the break point, then 2 misses, and that's why they lost a few of those games in that first set, which made it close.
Frustration from Durant after that miss.
Ooh. You know, he has a really good snap roller to that deuce court.
That ball
And
stayed so
Advantage
low.
Durant.
That is a really good shot.
Great play from Hughes.
But again, don't you want to float that ball deep back there? Not
Yep.
hit it hard and down?
Yep, that was one of our keys to winning, right? Soft to Hughes.
Oh, the topspin lob on the full reach. And again, just
Which every time Hughes has a short lob, as you said earlier, he's carving him up.
way too high a percentage of misses over there when Hughes gets an overhead.
I'm
Finds
surprised
Mitchell
we
on the
haven't seen
deuce.
Hughes trying more of that.
Well, they still haven't gotten the net every time. That's the key. They got to be there for that to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely, but there were definitely a few points that Hughes could have hit the cutter and chose to be a little more conservative. Great lob there from Hughes.
Snaps that.
Yeah, I'd like to see him take that ball back at Durant. Durant's the one that's off the net there, and Mitchell's standing right on the net.
Yeah, certainly driving it the guy off. I think he just mixes and matches it to, to see if you're guessing one way or the other, but I don't disagree.
Misses
Just
that one.
Out.
Yeah, I think that Mitchell's done a great
Advantage
job of
Durant.
stationing himself to the right, and I think you got to move the ball a little further to the left of where he is.
That is such a spot right there.
Deuce.
But he puts it on a dime. He hit that first ball a little, and he moved that ball 8 inches to the outside. Perfect play.
This game's taking on added importance as it goes deeper.
Well, I think certainly for Randt and Mitchell. I wouldn't want to see them play from behind.
Hughes just loves that ball off the back wire. And to your
Advantage
point, Brad,
Powers.
that would have been an easier overhead hit, just soft to Hughes rather than hard. And Durant faults.
Game Hughes
And it's
Powers. They
3-1.
lead the second set 3-1.
Michael Montalbano's breathing a little bit easier. He's a big fan of Hughes Powers.
Definitely in their camp today.
And again, hard, aggressive
15
serve,
love.
challenging Durant. Seen a lot more missed returns from Durant to this match than we have in probably the previous 3.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. You also saw Durant moving back and away. You never see him moving backwards when he's returning. That's good.
See, that was a ball they could have let Hughes hit.
Oh, such good
great
hands.
exchange.
Way to go by Mitchell.
But to me, that all started with Powers taking the first overhead, when it could have been Hughes hitting the
15
cut
all.
into the Mitchell corner. They don't seem to be looking for it. Similar to the fact they're not looking for the Hughes forehand on the softball.
I wonder if the sun has anything to do with it, because it is coming in heavy and hard from that side.
Possible.
But I don't know that we've seen it a ton on the other side either, so that time he gets the big return. Oh! That's just the
15-30.
confidence of Powers.
Yeah.
I mean, most guys would just block that back, maybe push it up the line. Confidence, take a full rip on a full hard roller.
Look where Hughes is now.
Yep. I think it's got to be a little sun-related.
Comes the Durant forehand.
And Powers has a really good overhead, and he can attack with his overhead. They've just chosen to make it that Hughes takes more and Powers takes a little more of that net.
Although today that has not been the case.
Well, what I mean is they have the ability to do it another way. So they can, and Powers can carve that ball, to the side from the other side and put it into the deuce court low with spin.
Now that's the spot, that last Powers forehand, that's the spot I want to see. Tip Mitchell into reaching for that ball in the middle. Because he's moving so far to his right, that's going to be a tough volley for him.
That is a great lob. Oh!
No, I think it was wide.
15-40.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
All right. Terrific net play there from Randt and Mitchell.
See umpire Horn kind of dive out of the way there, that lob. Nope, Hughes misses that.
That was great.
Game,
Big
Durant
game
Mitchell.
for Durant Mitchell.
Hughes
Back
Powers
to
lead the second
3-2.
set 3-2. They
Good
won the
break
first
for
set
them.
7-5.
Oh, look at those hands up there from Mitchell. Like a whirling dervish.
Okay, so 2-3. I think we're going to be joined by Martin Bostrom for a brief time.
Oh, great play there from Powers. Reads that easily.
Oh, Hughes was in full retreat there.
Love 15.
Martin, welcome to the booth.
Thank you so much.
What are you seeing so far?
It's interesting. It's kind of going back and forth. It was really, the first set came down to 2 games. That was a little loose by Durant and Mitchell.
At 5-4.
Right, exactly. There was a couple of loose errors, and that was the deciding part so far.
Now, last year, you and Blake Anderson had real success with Hughes Powers, just hitting that soft ball into the Hughes forehand. Are you surprised we haven't seen more of that?
A little bit. I mean, I got to give credit to John also.
Love
He started
30.
picking up some pace on his forehand, and he's not giving away any loose balls. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mitchell and Durant tries it a little bit, but I haven't seen the same success going that way so far with to John.
The other thing Brad and I were commenting on that we're surprised we haven't seen more is Hughes' overhead obviously is a tremendous overhead, and Mitchell has struggled with it, but we haven't seen Hughes hit a lot of cutters over there.
Yeah, I would think that John would take all of the overheads, but
So why do you think that is?
I know on the far side the
Love
sun
40.
seems to be an issue.
Yeah, Brad
so,
and I
but
were
when they're at the
commenting on
net
that.
on this side, John should take everything.
Yeah, love 40.
You see Powers continuing to spot his drives. He puts that thing with incredible precision. Oh, last second flick down the
15-40.
line.
Boy, this is a big moment in the match right here. With the Hughes serve coming up, if they get up a break. Somehow they can get out of this game. Boy, another great shoot-top volley from Mitchell.
See, but you just can't hit that shot.
That's
You just
exactly
can't
what
hit
we're
it.
talking about. Yeah.
Ever.
Game,
Like,
Hughes Powers.
you get that ball there
Leading the
and you
second
start to
set,
hit
4
it down,
games
you
to
go,
2.
no, just push it. And in last year's final, Mark Parsons was so good at every time he got pushed off, he went, poop, pushed it back high and deep.
Well, Martin, when you played these guys, great serve from Hughes. When you played these guys here last year, how many times did you allow Hughes to hit that shot?
Never.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. If John gets out moving, that's when he is the best. So you got to try to keep him as steady as possible and standing still.
Right, because he doesn't have that quick release forehand, that heavy acceleration. It's a different type of
volley
ball.
there.
He's
15
dangerous,
all.
but he's most dangerous when he's moving.
Right, and that's the thing with Mark. Any ball to him that is anywhere in his strike zone, you have no idea what's coming.
Yeah, he can hit it inside, outside, left hip, right hip. But there it is again.
Great reaction from Durant, but
Sure, but it's not the way you want to play
no.
it.
Not going to win that exchange enough times to make it worthwhile.
Right, and it's not the style you want to play. It makes him feed. You also see Hughes feed off of that type of fast play.
15-30.
Don't you think so, Martin?
Absolutely. I mean, it comes back to it. If Hughes gets to start running around, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you get him staying still and then thinking about the ball he's hitting, and he can't play as athletically. It's the way you want to do it. Oh, that's so much better. But that forehand off the softball is better as he
There it
nets
is.
that one.
That's the one you want
15-40.
to force him to beat you with.
That's it.
15-40.
Well, in any situation, isn't that what it is? You want somebody to beat you with their worst shot, right? You want to win with your best, and you want to try and make it harder for them, right?
What do you think Durant Mitchell has the patience to play that way?
I mean, I haven't seen them be impatient. Have you, Mark? I think they've played just good paddle all weekend.
Yeah, we talked a little bit earlier about how Durant, you know, those shot clock problems he used to have when you get more and more aggressive as the point went deeper and deeper. We haven't seen that at all the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's been terrific to see. Just so I have to think that they do. They just haven't decided on it today. Another great volley from Mitchell. His position volleying has been terrific.
This is just a long grinding point. You're seeing a lot of patience here.
Well, you said earlier, and we talked about it a little in the keys to winning, slower play is going to be useful for Mitchell and Durant. Winning some of these grinding points. You know, what makes Hughes and Powers one of our best teams in a national champion is the fact that they can play these two. You know, if you play a grinding point, it doesn't mean you're going to win them, but it's your best chance.
And you've seen Durant Mitchell hitting a lot of reset overheads this point.
And this is the point you want to play because they take on a little more importance. If they miss one or two of these on a crucial easy ball, then it's a mental thing. That's the ball right there.
Exactly.
That's the ball. Oh, God, that was a big backhand and forehand.
What a combination from Powers.
Well, it was, as Martin brought it up,
30,
Powers can
40.
pretty much strike it from anywhere, right, Martin?
Absolutely. But it also comes down to the resets. I think they're getting Mark a little too involved on the baseline.
Deuce.
Like that, the reset overheads are about 2 feet on the wrong side. Like,
Right.
get him over to Hughes. make him create a little bit.
Yeah, you want him to beat you with the forehand, but it's, even if it's the backhand chop chipper at you, it's not, the worst thing you could face.
Right, but the other thing that it does is with Mark getting a lot of balls, he's not going to start pressing either because he gets to touch the ball. So you want to take that ball out of Mark's hands completely.
And then he'll start to press on his balls.
Right. If he sees 1 out of 15, then there's a
that's
good chance he's taking a drive.
blitz. Wrong
Great
moment
play.
for Mitchell there to
Advantage
blitz,
Hughes.
though. That
Well,
takes point for 5-2.
Hughes is on the net, right on it. It's perfect play.
Hughes bleeding all over the place.
Oh my gosh, look at that. You can see that in the back of his hand.
See, that's where Hughes is going to get him in trouble.
And
Yep.
he's
Every
beaten him with that time and time again. I have to think what we were talking about before is a factor. The sun is a factor as to why he's not doing on the other side.
Well, his batting average, he's got like 80%. When he lines up for the big cut, he wins the point.
He's won a lot.
And that was a big game for Randt Mitchell to lose from 40-15 up. And now they're at match game.
Well, we've said it before. They've had the better of the play in the set since the beginning of it. But we also haven't seen Randt and Mitchell use that strategy that we've talked about in any kind of precise way.
Okay, Martin, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
All right, well, it's do or die time now, pretty much from Mitchell and Randt. And let's see if they go about business or they make a slight correction in their strategy.
Yeah, way off the net, too deep to
Love
try that
15.
shot. And you talked earlier a little bit of Brad about what makes Hughes and Powers so good. They can play either speed. Oh,
Love 30.
and I'll tell you, sitting here today, they are the favorites for nationals. Love 40 takes the
Love
triple
40.
match point. I saw a lot of good things from Mariah Parsons, but I think Hughes Powers are the team to beat as we sit here today.
Well, like you said, it starts now,
15-40.
and we'll see how they build towards. There's a good, month and a half, basically, and a lot of reps in there for a lot of these awesome players. And then dark horse would be, Broderick, 4-time national champions Broderick and Palmer,
Palmer, yeah.
who will be seeded, 5th, 6th, 8th,
10th, 12th.
10th,
Tough to
12th?
get-
s-
That's wide.
just sitting in the
Oh.
middle of the draw. That was just wide.
Saves 2 match points. Durant was very
30-40.
calm letting that ball bounce. Still match point here. But again, the wrong reset overhead.
I agree. And they just have not used it enough, actually, at all, or placed it well enough. But I don't think they're thinking to use it as a strategic, point.
Why?
I honestly have no idea.
I mean, it's clearly the book on John Hughes, so to speak.
Yeah, so that's why I have no idea. I mean, even that heavy roller, it's fine, but Powers and Hughes are such a confident team. And you want to make them hit you with a tough shot. Oh, look at this for the match point. Oh, he tries to go around the post, and he mishits it.
Wow, 3 match points saved.
He's probably thinking to himself, I have a chance here for a match point in the Boston Open. That would have been prestigious.
Have to take the look at that one again.
Ooh, Mitchell. It's the first time I haven't seen him take it with a backhand. He was stunned.
Almost knocked him down.
He did. Great hands. See, but that's not the ball, right?
Nope.
He can hammer that. And now you got Powers going to work, but that's an escape, not a strategy of usefulness.
That's the point. They're going to lose a lot more than they're going to win.
That's not useful.
Wow, this would be a huge hold for Randt.
I mean, look, it's all do or die now, right?
But from love 40,
yep,
it's really going to put some pressure on Hughes Powers.
Sneaky move there from Hughes. Great offensive volley from Mitchell. Another one.
And things just tightened up significantly, Bradford.
Here's a little dink. Yeah, he was waiting too long to get around the net post, and it never did, and then he ran out of time to hit it.
Yep, that was a ball he had to lob and start over.
Well, it certainly got tighter, but I don't feel like Hughes and Powers feel that. I know Powers doesn't at all. I don't think Hughes does either. They're very good about that. They're even-keeled. You see players like Araya running up and down the roller coaster of emotion all the time. You don't see that so much from Hughes and Powers. You do see from time to time the one thing we talked about, the occasional shaky confidence in that forehand off the salt ball from Hughes, and that's it.
Yeah, except losing
seam.
Triple match point.
Love 15.
It's a little dicey. Get ready to shake hands.
There's a seamer right there to start it off, so fortune's turning. Yep. They're going to stay solid, keep it going. Wow. Great hands. Mitchell thumped that.
Here comes the overhead.
And even that one.
That was a routine one.
I mean,
pretty close, right? At this level?
Yeah. He has struggled with that for sure.
Sun's gone behind the cloud a little bit.
Oh, what a volley from
Great
Powers.
feel.
He touched it, took the pace off it. He recognized Mitchell coming in. It was a really great volley in a crucial moment.
See if Randt doesn't switch here. He finds Mitchell anyway.
40-15.
Wow,
Hurting him with that overhead. Hurting him.
A huge Achilles heel and takes us to match points 4 and potentially 5.
Great tight point here.
Yeah, both teams kind of probing.
Well, this is what, at this moment, you want to take the right ball, right? Give it away. You want to use every match point you can. You've already given away 3.
It's also what the best players do. They're only going with their best shots at this moment in time.
Oh.
Great blitz.
And
Durant
too
doesn't have
good.
it.
Game, set, and
Game,
match.
set, and match.
Hughes
Hughes Powers, 7-5, 6-3. A lot of fun, Brad.
A
What are
lot
your
of
thoughts?
fun. So, Mark, well, my thoughts really, Hughes and Powers are back. You have to say they're ready. We haven't seen much of them, but for Randt and Mitchell, they're really good. A couple little holes here and there, the ability to defend some of the cut overheads, and is a great run here to the finals for them. I look forward to them playing in nationals, see what they can do there. What do you think they need to add?
Well, obviously, Randt is one of the great legends of the game, an innovator, 3-time national champion, just a brilliant player. That was a huge hole we saw in Steve Mitchell's game. I really thought he'd come a long way. His semis were tremendous, really played well. But the Hughes overhead, he looked lost handling it. I was really surprised at that. I knew it was going to be a factor. I had no idea it would be a factor to that element.
Well, for sure, defending the spin overhead. There are certain things that were great out there from Mitchell. His spot volleying, his
Volley
ability.
was awesome.
Generally, decisions very good. The way they played paddle as a team. Now, today, I don't think they had a clear strategy or a good one. Everyone kind of knows the book, and they didn't use it. They just did what they wanted to do. And, they had a great tournament. You can't say they didn't. They had terrific wins. They just beat Araya Parsons, twice now. So they're a dangerous team that can win. But when you play some of these teams with that extra bit of spin or the extra bit of movement on the ball, we'll see how it affects going forward, or if there's something they can clean up as we move forward in the season.
Okay, we're going to take a fast break, and then Brad's going to have an interview with our winners. So we'll be right back after these messages on the APTA Network, presented by eNet Live.
I play to be a role model in my neighborhood.
I play to be part of the team.
I play to be stronger than my brothers.
I play to channel my energy in a positive way.
I play because the field is where I shine. I play to be a part of something bigger than myself.
I play to stay healthy. I play to feel powerful.
I play to win.
The world of Rolex is filled with stories of perpetual excellence. For Rolex and tennis, the tradition began in 1978 and has grown to include the most iconic majors and tournaments since, supporting the legends, champions, and rising stars committed to the future of the game. This is a story of perpetual excellence, the story of Rolex.
When people think of Roto-Rooter, they typically just think plumbing and water cleanup. And they wouldn't be wrong, but we do a whole lot more. Roto-Rooter. Yeah, we do that too.
Okay, welcome back to the APTA Network. We just saw a spectacular final between Durant Mitchell and Hughes Powers. Now we have the Blanchard Cup standings up here, and Hughes Powers are going to take a big jump up, and it's going to be really a barn burner coming down to Philadelphia the penultimate week in February before we determine who wins it. And you can start seeing all the teams jockeying for seedings and placement at nationals. And everybody wants to be in that top 8. Avoid the top teams until the quarters or even the semis. But we have a lot of really interesting possibilities. We're now going to throw it down to Brad Easterbrook on the court for an interview with our winners. Brad?
I'm here with our winners of the 2020 Boston Open, the number 2 seeds of John Hughes and Mark Powers. Guys, congratulations on a great tournament. It must feel good to be back because we haven't seen much of you this year. So how good did this feel?
Yeah, it felt good. I mean, it was definitely a little bit of a weird first half of the season in the sense that we didn't play that much. So, you know, we always love coming to Boston, and the atmosphere is always great, and so it's a good way to kind of kick off the second half of the year. So we're happy with the result.
Well, was there any reason you couldn't play in the first half, or should we expect to see you more for the going ahead in Philadelphia?
Yeah, no, we've got a bunch of tournaments coming up. We're going to play Short Hills and Philly and probably a few others, probably a PFP event. But yeah, I mean, I had a little bit of an arm issue at the beginning of the year, so I took some time off. And there aren't that many tournaments in December, but yeah, we're pumped to be back. We love coming back to Boston. This is one of our favorite tournaments. They get such a good showing here, and the club does such a good job setting this up. So we're happy to be able to keep the momentum and have a good tournament here.
Well, it was really exciting. The play was amazing, and I said it must feel good to win, but let's see how good it feels, actually, John. Why don't you show that up to our family here at the hand. If I could interview the hand, I would, but, but that's true. But so terrific win today, guys. Did you go into the match with a specific strategy? I know you weren't sure who was going to come out of it or how it was going to work. Did you know how you wanted to play against Randt and Mitchell? A little different team than the last time you played them?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's different in the sense that they both started to hit those kind of top spin sidearm serves, so that's definitely a little bit of a different look than they've played in the past. And Mitchell has gotten just so much better in the past, just scary better in the past, year and a half, and they're just a much more disciplined team. But I think at the end of the day, we just try to play our game, and the way that Mark was hitting his forehand and backhand from the backcourt today. Makes it easy on his partner. I can just try to lob well for him and just let him do the rest. So.
Well, you guys were terrific today, and you certainly were feeling your forehand today, Mark. You spotted it so well in so many crucial moments. Now's the arm. Is that all full, healed?
Yeah, I mean, it's as healed as it'll be. I'll always have some arm issues, but it was creeping into my wrist, which was scaring me a little bit in the season. But no, I feel great, and I'm really excited for the rest of the season.
Well, that's terrific to hear. And it didn't get in the way of your golf handicap going down, too, right? The arm was fine for that, right?
Yep. I'm not supposed to be playing golf, but we're not going to talk about that.
Oh, sorry to his doctor out there. Anyway, congratulations to our 2020 winners of the Boston Open. John Hughes, Mark Powers, great match, great tournament. We'll see everybody in a couple of weeks in Philadelphia. And that's a wrap, delivered by Uline.